There is a peculiar affliction that has plagued humanity for millennia. It starts with curiosity, an innocent desire to understand. It is often disguised as philosophy, spirituality, or worst of all, self-introspection. And before you know it, you've caught the most inconvenient condition known to man: awakening. You have seen its symptoms in the unfortunates who went too far, the ones who stare at trees for suspiciously long periods, who sigh at dinner parties as though they know something the rest of us don't, who mysteriously lose their ability to engage in small talk. They slowly start to talk less and less. It is as if they are withdrawing from reality, being eaten alive by a grip of singularity. It is a tragic fate, but one that can be avoided if you are careful. They tell you enlightenment is bliss, that if you let go of yourself, if you stop clinging to your little bubble of personality, you'll finally find peace. But they don't tell you the fine print. They don't tell you what happens when you loosen your grip on identity. And trust me, you do not want to find out. Because at first, sure, it's just a few little realizations. You see through social games, you notice patterns, you realize that money, status, and approval are just gold-plated mirages. But then things start getting weird. The people around you stop looking entirely human. Oh, they still have faces, still say the right things, but something about them feels scripted. You notice repeated phrases, repeated expressions, like the world is a low-budget Netflix film. The illusion slips, and what's behind it? You don't want to know. So do not let go. Not if you value your current, well-structured individual existence. Because the second you loosen your grip on yourself, just slightly, you might start noticing things, unfortunate things, like how much of your life is habit, like how your desires are mostly borrowed, your fears conditioned, your attachments flimsy. You might catch a glimpse of how everything you've built is made of sand, and worse, you might stop caring. One day, you wake up, stretch, and feel like a marionette. Your limbs don't quite belong to you. Your face in the mirror, a mask. Your own voice will sound foreign to you. You say words and wonder, who is speaking through me? Even eating feels strange. You chew, swallow, and wonder, why does this body need fuel? Who designed this strange, fleshy machine? You start feeling like an operator in a biological robot. The seams between you and your body start showing, and when that happens, it's very, very hard to go back. You'd think sleep will be a refuge, but no. Oh no. Instead, your dreams stop being dreams. They become something else. You will begin to remember, and it's not pretty. The memories, not just childhood memories, those are the easy ones. The first time it happens, it's a flicker, an inexplicable recognition, name that carries a weight you cannot explain. The real problem begins when you remember things that don't fit. Perhaps a landscape from a time that no longer exists, a conversation with an entity that is not of this world, a familiarity with a stranger that is too intense, too visceral to be ignored. Past lives? Maybe. Or maybe just an elaborate joke the universe plays on those who look too closely. Either way, you will suddenly realize that you are much older than your current birth certificate suggests. You weren't meant to know certain things. But drop your guard for too long, and the floodgates crack. You start remembering odd details, like how to navigate a place you've never been, how to read symbols you were never taught. You recognize faces in crowds, but not from this life. Not all lives are pleasant. Some were brutal. Some ended in betrayal, in sorrow, in madness. You see old faces in the people around you. Old wounds ache in new skin. You realize that relationships are not random, that every connection has a weight beyond this moment. and worst of all, you understand that you have done this before, again and again and again. This is not your first time at this game. And something about that knowledge is deeply, existentially exhausting. Worse still is sleep paralysis. You wake up, but you can't move. The air is heavy, and something is in the room, watching, waiting. Is it real? A hallucination? Hard to say when your entire reality is starting to glitch. No one warns you that enlightenment is deeply inconvenient, because meaning is what keeps people anchored. Without it, what are you left with? A great, yawning silence. A space so vast that it swallows everything. And you will have to sit in it, alone. Do you know what that's like? To sit in raw existence without a story to hold on to? It is a terrible thing. You get liberated into the void, and you do not want it. And then, in a moment of pure catastrophe, you will find yourself unable to care about who is dating whom, which influencer has fallen from grace, or whether neutral-toned furniture is still in style. Jokes aside, but if that happens, how will you relate to anyone? What will you talk about? What will ground you when you realize that nothing is as solid as it seemed? You might find yourself staring at a flashing screen, once hypnotic, now absurdly flat. The spell could break. One of the true joys of being human is the ability to wallow in a good complaint, to shake your fist at the sky and demand why life is unfair, why things are hard. But the moment you awaken, this privilege is revoked. At first, your friends will humor you, but soon they will miss the old you, the one who could rage against existence properly without any of this "everything is unfolding as it should" nonsense. You will become suspiciously peaceful, dangerously unfazed. And in doing so, you will alienate yourself from the noble, time-honored tradition of collective misery. Just when you think you are free, when you have let go of identity, attachment, and all illusions of control, your ego will return with a vengeance. It will not go quietly. It will tell you that enlightenment is a phase, that you are ridiculous for believing any of this. It will suddenly develop an urgent desire for recognition, validation, and expensive cars. And if that does not work, it will whisper something even worse. Fine. You are enlightened, but you are the most enlightened. You are, in fact, quite special in your enlightenment. And just like that, you are back where you started, but this time with the added burden of spiritual arrogance. Keep your worries close. Hold on to your carefully constructed identity. Keep believing that your thoughts are original, that your problems are unique, that this is your first and only life. Because if you let go, even for a moment, you might see something you are not ready to see. And once you see it, you can never go back. Like Kafka's Gregor Samsa, who awoke one morning to find himself irrevocably transformed, we too risk an unforeseen metamorphosis. One might think that in relinquishing the burdens of identity, a state of blissful freedom awaits. Yet, as the light fades and the echoes of memory resound, one realizes that the shoe that fits one person pinches another. There is no recipe for living that suits all people, and the only thing we can do is to walk each other home.